As the trade deadline approaches, we are getting more and more info about the players that could be available. And today we've got an absolute banger. Jeff Passan and Kiley McDaniel of ESPN together ranked their top 50 MLB trade deadline candidates, gave you possible landing spots, gave you percentages, chances of them being traded, and I can't wait to see what they've got. I'm going to be dropping so many MLB trade deadline and draft videos over the next month, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you don't miss out on that. And drop a like on the video if you do enjoy it, as well as let me know in the comment section down below, who do you think gets traded this deadline? Any big surprises? If you want to check out Jeff and Kiley's article, of course, link will be in the description. Give them some love as well. Don't just watch my video, give them at least a click at the end of my video if that's the case. But first, I want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, SeatGeek. Major League Baseball is almost at the All-Star break. These games matter more and more, which means you need to get out to a game right now, and that's where SeatGeek comes in. Because there's no better place to buy tickets to Major League Baseball games than SeatGeek. Plus, when you use my code GiraffeNeckMarc at SeatGeek, you get 10% off your ticket purchase, whether you're a first-time buyer or not. And SeatGeek is the best place to buy your tickets to the game because they take tickets from all across the web and put them in one place to make your ticket buying experience as easy and as cheap as possible. We got the Subway Series coming up during the 4th of July. I have to be at those games. I'm not missing out. I'm going to SeatGeek. I'm buying my tickets there. And with my favorite feature, their SeatGeek score, you will know whether you're getting a good deal or not. SeatGeek rates their tickets on a scale of 1 to 10. When you see tickets with a green dot or a score closer to 10, that means it's a good deal. You should buy those. When you see tickets with a score closer to 1 or a red or orange circle, those aren't the best. You should avoid them. So again, that's where I come in big for you guys. Use my code GiraffeNeckMarc for 10% off your next order on SeatGeek. Again, it doesn't matter if you're a first-time buyer or not. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring today's video. Whoa, at number 1, Alex Bregman. Players are ranked by the value for their new team. Okay, I understand. It's not the likelihood of being dealt. It's the best possible player that could be dealt. Alex Bregman, chance 10%, best fits Cubs, Tigers, Yankees, Mets. I'll tell you what, I'd love him on the Mets right now. We do have a bit of a hole at third base. Brett Beatty's been okay, but Alex Bregman would be a huge improvement. Same thing with the Yankees. I think they'd love him. But yeah, I do think this is a low chance. We know that they moved on from Devers. That doesn't necessarily mean they move on from Bregman. He does have the option at the end of the year where he can opt out, but that $40 million a year salary is going to be tough to move. Teams would like Alex Bregman, but coming off an injury, you do want to see what he's got still back. So yeah, I guess that is making sense, 10%. Another Red Sox player here, Jarren Duran. 25% is a little bit higher than I expected. I thought he would have been in that 10% range. Of course, he's another person who would fit on so many different teams. He can play center field. He's a left-handed bat. He's fast. He plays good defense, gets on base, doubles, triples, home runs, whatever you need. Jarren Duran has got it. The Padres, Braves, Cleveland, Kansas City, San Francisco, and Philly all make sense to me. I'm surprised the Mets aren't listed on here as well. I'm surprised the Dodgers aren't listed on here as well. I know the Dodgers have a pretty good outfield, of course, but they will always try to get better players. I'm assuming if the Red Sox were to trade any of their bigger pieces on the offensive side, Jarren Duran is the most likely of those guys left. So 25%, I definitely can buy that. I think there's a chance he gets moved. All right, number 3, Sandy Alcantara. 60% is actually lower than I thought. That is more likely than not the Marlins will be trading Sandy, but I thought he was going to be closer to the 80 or 90% range just because the Marlins are so far away from winning right now. Sandy is starting to pitch better, so his value is going up and up as we're getting closer to the deadline. Basically, every team in baseball that is competing will be interested in Sandy Alcantara. I had a video come out a couple days ago where you saw Jim Bowden give out some trade predictions, and he thought Sandy to the Cubs was a great fit. Jeff Passan and Kiley have listed Cubs, Houston, Boston, Toronto, Arizona, Los Angeles, San Diego, and Baltimore. All those make sense to me, and again, I think there's even more teams. They're probably just not going to list every single one. All right, number 4, Freddie Peralta. Chance of trade, 20%. Yeah, the Brewers have low-key been playing some of the best baseball in Major League Baseball over the last month or so. They've been winning games. They've been pushing and pushing closer and closer for that division in the National League Central. The Brewers are always a sneaky team. On paper, they never look great, but by the end of the year, they're always in the playoffs. And Freddie Peralta, while he is coming up on contract year, I think next season, technically has like an $8 million option, so that's going to get picked up. He would have a lot of value right now, and if the Brewers are ever wanting to cash in, it would be a pretty good time to do that with Freddie Peralta, but also at the same time, they're winning. They're playing good baseball. There's no way I think they trade him. Boston, Houston, Toronto, St. Louis, Arizona, San Diego, Baltimore. It's interesting how the Mets haven't been mentioned with any of these pitchers right now. I guess they feel like the Mets don't need pitching, although I think every Mets fan, myself included, would say, yes, I'd like a frontline starter again, especially with Kodai Senga injured. Number 5, Eugenio Suarez. This is a 50-50 shot, and we've been hearing more and more that that the Diamondbacks could possibly be sellers at the deadline. It depends on what's going on. They need to play better baseball. I don't think the team is bad by any means, but with guys like Eugenio Suarez and Zach Gallen on expiring contracts, it does raise the question whether or not they should move. And you see the teams here that could use them. The Tigers, the Brewers, the Cubs, Yankees, Kansas City, Seattle, San Francisco. I think the Mets as well. I'm going to keep mentioning the Mets because I'm a Mets fan, clearly. All those teams definitely could use Eugenio Suarez. He would make them better. And for a Diamondbacks team who has Jordan Lawler who could play third, they have some up-and-coming prospects, it would make sense to maybe move on from the 34-year-old before he becomes a free agent, even if you are still kind of in the mix for the playoffs. I think it would be a pretty good decision. 50-50 chance is not too bad, though. Number 6, Seth Lugo. Whoa. This is higher than I thought. This was something that I mentioned on my podcast, Metsed Up, link in the description, as kind of like a shot in the dark. Maybe the Royals will sell Seth Lugo. He's technically in a contract year. There's an option. He's so cheap. And the Royals are playing pretty poorly right now. They're not playing good baseball. That offense is terrible. Maybe you move on from a guy like Seth Lugo, who's in his mid-30s, who's pitching well. Again, cash in at the top peak of his value and move him for some prospects or some even major league-ready players that can help compete in the next few years. 40% is higher than I thought. I would love to see Seth Lugo on the move onto a good team competing for the playoffs right now, because the Royals at this exact moment are very much on the outside looking in. They are 2.5 back in the wild card, but still, like, that team, you look at it and you're like, I don't know how much they get. But if they go out and get players at the deadline, they become a little bit scared because that pitching is good. Number 7, Zach Gallen. Chance of trade's only 30% on Zach Gallen. Gallen was excellent in a contract years, posting career worst numbers. His stuff looks pretty similar, but he's allowing much more damage. Diamondbacks GM Mike Hazen said the team does not plan to deal away players at the deadline, but if Arizona doesn't make a run, it could heap a huge return. Yeah, I'm surprised that it's this much lower, especially with the next guy on the Diamondbacks being listed as well, Merrill Kelly. Both of these guys in contract years. I really think Mike Hazen would be smart if the Diamondbacks are playing like they are. If they're continuing to play terrible baseball, it might not be the worst move. Now, again, similarly, they're only 2.5 games out. This is what the wild card expansion has done to Major League Baseball. Almost every team is kind of still in it at this point. So it's hard to figure out who are the true sellers besides the worst teams in the league. If the Diamondbacks get cold, there's still a month until the trade deadline. I expect that maybe both of these pitchers, if not all their expiring contracts, could be moved. He's a good GM. You can't be that dumb. If you don't think you're going to bring back Gallen, Merrill Kelly, if you want to cash in on some value, now would be the time, especially if you're not competing. All right, number 9. Wow, another Diamondback here. Josh Naylor, 30%. Again, I think we're going to start to see Orioles too. I scrolled down a little bit and saw their logo. Josh Naylor makes sense. Another guy in a contract year. People could use a power-hitting first baseman. Specifically, the Seattle Mariners could desperately use Josh Naylor. We saw Jim Bowden put that in his article. The Giants could definitely use Josh Naylor. Texas would be, those would be good spots. Boston, it makes a lot of sense. He is a very good player. Again, like I mentioned, he's not in that tier of Guerrero, Alonso, Freeman, Harper, even Matt Olson. He's not in that same tier, but he's the next one below it. He's a very good first baseman. Would bring a lot back for the Diamondbacks. Number 10, Ryan O'Hearn. Chance of trade, 85%. This makes a ton of sense. He is probably going to be a Seattle Mariner. I feel like if there was ever a prediction in my mind, he is going to be a Seattle Mariner. He feels like the exact player that Jerry DiPoto would go after, and he's balling out this year. He might be the AL starting first baseman in the All-Star game. Ryan O'Hearn's a dog. He's hitting really, really well. I'm interested to see what would happen when he moves ballparks. Baltimore, very, very hitter-friendly, especially for left-handed bats. While he doesn't really face lefties that much, he's still such a good bat against right-handed pitching that I think a lot of teams are going to be interested in O'Hearn. 11, Marcell Ozuna for the Braves. This, again, is higher than I would have thought. Chance of trade, 25%, and maybe it's because the Mets haven't beat the Braves this year, so I see the best version of that team, and I go, I don't think they're going to sell. 25% doesn't indicate that they will, but also at the same time, it doesn't mean that they're not listening. And Marcell Ozuna, despite what he's done off the field, has been one of the best DHs in baseball on the field the last few seasons. The guy absolutely mashes, and he's in a contract year for an Atlanta Braves team that definitely would be happy to shed some salary. They have a cheap ownership. The GM did nothing this offseason. This year overall has looked like a bit of a lost cause if it wasn't for the Mets letting them win 4 in a row against them. Can we please beat them? God. Sorry, not ranting about the Mets. Marcell Ozuna, I could see it. Jhoan Duran, 40%? Oh my goodness. If Jhoan Duran is available, you are going to see teams go absolutely crazy for this guy on the market. He throws 101 miles an hour. He's got the splinker. He's got disgusting pitches, and he has 2 more years of team control. This could be one of the most valuable assets at the trade deadline if it's truly available. The Twins have been terrible. They've been hot, they've been cold, and right now they're super cold. Shout out Katy Perry. Get it? Because, like, you're hot and you're cold. That's exactly the Minnesota Twins. Can't believe Rocco Baldelli is still going to have his job next year. They exercised his option. 40% on Juan Duran is way higher than I thought, though. That is super interesting. Teams will be throwing a ton for him. 13, Emmanuel Clase, 20%. Yeah, I just don't see Cleveland trading him right now, especially because he's under contract for less than $30 million up till 2028. Just doesn't seem like the time to trade a guy like Clase, especially when Cleveland is still very much in the playoff race, and that's a team that I expect is going to play better. They always do by the end of the season. The pitching's been weird this year, but J-Ram's too good. You can't sell Emmanuel Clase right now. Not yet. Number 14, Felix Bautista, chance of trade 15%. We know that Mike Elias has his burner account over on Twitter, and he's kind of been throwing out ideas of a Felix Bautista trade. It seems like the Orioles are going to want a lot back for him, and it makes sense. They have control. There's no incentive to move Felix Bautista right now. 15% is kind of more where I expected to see a lot of the guys higher up on this list. It is crazy to me that he's got a lower percent chance to be traded than Juan Duran. That one's surprising to me. I would have thought they're the same, that being 15%. Cedric Mullins, number 15 for the Orioles, 70% chance. Yeah, he's in a contract year. The Orioles have a ton of center fielders. Well, not just center fielders, but outfielders in general. They want to get some of the youth in there. They're not playing good baseball right now. They're not going to make the playoffs, and Cedric Mullins could get a lot back for a rental. He's a very good left-handed bat, and he plays great defense out in center field. That has a lot of value to teams, especially my New York Mets. There they are on the best fits. Mets, Cleveland, and Philadelphia. That makes tons of sense. 16, Ryan McMahon. Whoa! They think there's a 60% chance the Rockies trade Ryan McMahon? Ring the alarm bells. Is it happening? Has Dick Monfort woken up from his slumber? What? I am shocked about this one. I mean, listen, everybody in the world knows that the Rockies should have traded Ryan McMahon years ago. Cash in on that value. He's a good fielder, and I know he's not playing particularly well this year. He's had better seasons, but I think as soon as he leaves Coors and gets into a winning environment, Ryan McMahon is a guy who can make an immediate impact for teams. The Yankees would be an amazing fit for him. That short right field porch in the Bronx would be incredible. Detroit, Milwaukee, Minnesota, Seattle, all those places make a ton of sense. His contract is extremely affordable at only 2 years, $32 million remaining after this season. Until the Rockies trade him, I won't believe it. But 60% leads me to believe that Jeff and Kiley know a little something more than we do. Wow, if Monfort actually trades him, it's like his favorite player ever. Number 17, Pete Fairbanks of the Tampa Bay Rays. Chance of trade, 60%. Yeah, this is kind of the weird thing that the Rays do. They don't care that they're one of the better teams in the American League right now. They don't care that this team looks like they're going to make the playoffs if they keep it up. Pete Fairbanks is on an expiring contract, and for the Rays, who are always on a roster crunch, they don't have a problem trading in Pete Fairbanks, who is very good. They could get a lot back for him, especially because he has that club option that is really affordable in 2026. And again, there are a lot of teams who feel like they can win the World Series this year that would love to bring in a guy like Pete Fairbanks to their bullpen, so 60% might be surprising, but that is very much like the Rays. 18, Aroldis Chapman. I'm actually surprised that this one is only at 35%. I think regardless of whether the Red Sox are pushing for the playoffs or are in it or are out of it, Aroldis Chapman is someone that they should trade. He is, 37 years old. He's super old. He's throwing 102. He might be having one of the best seasons of his career. Cash in, Craig Breslow. This feels like a classic guy that you have to trade. Get rid of him. You don't worry about it. I know he's been so good, and that would hurt the Red Sox bullpen. I'm thinking Red Sox fans are screaming at me. But you do know that for the long term, Aroldis Chapman is not the key to this team. They need much more than that, and by trading him, you might get closer to the end, which is winning another World Series at some point in the future, rather than keeping Aroldis Chapman for this year, and I think that's kind of how you have to look at this. Number 19, Luis Robert Jr., 90% chance of a trade. San Diego, Philly, Cleveland. Yes, the Mets are on there. I love that. Thank you, Jeff and Kiley. I want Luis Robert on the Mets. I think that this is a guy who just needs to get out of Chicago and the White Sox org. I know how bad he's looked. I know he doesn't look like a Major League Baseball player right now, but it feels like one of those things where his season could turn around at any single point and he could go back to being that perennial all-star he once was. The talent is there. It's somewhere in there. We just got to get it out of him, and I think it's tough when you see the White Sox and you're on that team and you came up and they were winning, and then all of a sudden you look around and you go, where did all my friends go? That's what Luis Robert is doing right now. All right, number 20. Let's start moving a little bit faster. Taylor Ward, 45% chance for the Angels. They're low-key kind of in it a little bit. Again, I still don't believe in that team just because, look at it. It's not very good, but they're playing winning enough baseball where they're hanging around in the playoff picture. But yes, they should trade Taylor Ward. We've known this for years. But will Artie Moreno ever do it? Similarly to Ryan McMahon, I don't know. Nolan Arenado for the Cardinals, 30% chance. I see this one super, super low, especially because the Cardinals are competing for the NL Central right now. They're playing good baseball. They're getting good pitching. They're getting playing good offense. I just don't see Nolan Arenado, one, wanting to waive the no-trade clause, and then two, the Cardinals wanting to move him when they have a chance to make the playoffs right now. 22, Luis Severino by the A's. Yeah, I think anybody who will take Luis Severino's contract, the A's will be happy to. The problem with Severino right now is he can't pitch at home. When he's on the road, he's been an incredibly good pitcher. Super, super effective. But at home, in Sacramento, he's been getting shelled. They're owed $47 million over the next 2 years to Luis Severino. I don't know who's going to pick up that contract. I don't think the A's are going to pay a part of it either to get rid of him. It is funny, though, how the Mets are listed as one of the best fits here. I would love Severino back, but I don't want to pay that money to him right now. All right, 23, Ryan Helsley, 30%. He's another one of those where for the Cardinals, it feels like a Chapman situation where you probably need to trade him, but the Cardinals are more competitive than the Red Sox, so it's a little less likely. Like, they're very much in the playoffs, so moving Helsley at 30% makes more sense than Chapman being as low he was for the Red Sox, in my opinion. 24, Tyler Mahle for the Texas Rangers. Surely they're going to move some of their pieces because the Rangers are an absolute mess right now. They're currently 7.5 back in the AL West, 3 games out in the wild card, and they are getting Nathan Eovaldi back this week. At some point, Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, maybe those guys will be healthy, playing together well at the same time like they were when they won the World Series. This team just got old really, really, really fast, and they're playing bad baseball. Their window might have closed, even though we know that this team is very good. This could be the time, though, to move on some guys and start fresh. Zach Eflin, 75% chance. Makes sense. He is someone who is not helping the Orioles right now. He is someone who could get a lot of value on the trade market. I know he's had some rough starts of late, but Zach Eflin is a good 3-4 in your rotation right now, maybe even an aggressive 2 if you want to go there. I'm not going to. Again, I think he's a very good 3, amazing 4, and teams could use that. You could always use more starting pitching. You can never have enough, and the Orioles just need to get new guys in because whatever's going on right now, it's not working. 26, Adolis Garcia, 80% chance. Whoa, what's Adolis Garcia's contract? So he's a free agent in 2027, 2 years, $14 million, and then ARB eligible in 2026. That's incredibly cheap. Ooh, yeah, Adolis Garcia is going to be on the move, I think. I think the Rangers are 100% going to be moving on from him. 80% chance. This is someone that, honestly, I hadn't even considered, but I love that I read this article. Yeah, Rangers are moving Adolis, and I do think he will be a great pickup from someone. I know he's been struggling again, but that power potential and that just energy and vibe, he's got something different. And when he gets hot, he's one of the hottest hitters in baseball. 27, Reed Detmers, 15% chance. Of course not. The Angels will never trade Reed Detmers, because as soon as they do, he's going to be great. And he has been pitching a lot better of late, especially out of the relief role. And maybe this is where he belongs long-term. I still don't believe it. He was a former first-round pick. The stuff at Louisville was so good. I just think the Angels' pitching development's horrible, and teams will definitely want to move him back to a starter probably next season, not during the year, this season. Mets, Arizona, Baltimore, St. Louis, Minnesota, Yankees. I think almost every team in baseball would be interested in Reed Detmers, even if you're not competing right now. The talent's too good. It's just the Angels. Walker Buehler for the Red Sox. He just had one of the worst starts ever. I'll be honest. I don't know who's going to be willing to make a move for Walker Buehler right now. It is, a relatively cheap contract. He's going to be a free agent. You have the mutual option for the following season. I don't know if anybody really wants Walker Buehler right now based on what we've seen. Does not look good. Nick Martinez of the Reds, 65%. Really? 65% for Nick Martinez. The Reds are kind of playing better baseball. They're above 500, only 2 games back of the wild card, 5 back of the division. I know he's like a 4 starter. He's getting paid a lot, but I don't think the Reds can really move him. That doesn't feel like something they do. I know they have a ton of young pitching. Maybe Chase Burns pushes him out a little bit and you could save some money possibly. I would assume this would be a take his contract and we don't really need much else, right? Maybe that does intrigue teams like Houston, San Diego, LA, and Toronto. It's possible. I could buy that. 30, Eric Fedde of the St. Louis Cardinals. Yeah, Fedde is just not as good as he was last year. He's not really that great of a pitcher. 50-50 makes sense. It's probably like if the Cardinals get a good enough offer, they'll take it, and if not, they'll hold on to Fedde. It feels that simple. 31 through 50. Okay, this is where we're flying through them. Andrew Heaney. Edward Cabrera, I think the Marlins definitely should consider moving on from. Rhys Hoskins, I don't think the Brewers will. Zach Littell. Tyler Anderson feels like teams will be calling the Angels taking a look at. Good left-handed pitcher. Ramon Urias has been playing well. Jesus Sanchez is a sneaky great pickup this deadline. The Marlins have to move this guy. He's hitting the ball so hard. Jake Bird of the Rockies. Again, when Dick Monfort ever makes a trade, I'll believe it when I see it. Luis Urias, the brother of Ramon. IKF. I know the Yankees, I think, have been rumored to get IKF again. Surely surely they can't be making that mistake. How many times can we make this mistake with IKF where we're like, oh, maybe he's a good deadline pickup, and he never is? Kyle Finnegan of the Nationals, Chris Martin of the Rangers. Mike Soroka is going to be one of the best pickups of the trade deadline. You heard it here. This stuff looks good. I believe in Mike Soroka a ton, especially if you don't want to use him as a full-time starter, bring him back to the pen. He could be nasty. Tomoyuki Sugano has absolutely nothing, no stuff, but he kind of just pitches well. I'm a believer in Tomoyuki. I think he's going to be extremely cheap, and you will see him moved at the deadline. Phil Maton, Emilio Pagan, Yoan Moncada, Shelby Miller is an interesting one. Dennis Santana maybe is a little less interesting after he went and tried to punch a fan of the Detroit Tigers in the face. I didn't see the full video. I just saw kind of the clip without the sound on while I was riding the train. Honestly, I'm sure the fan probably deserved it. He was probably saying some horrible things, but also crazy to see a major league player swing at a fan. Maybe that takes down his value. And last but not least, everybody's favorite mopey left-handed pitcher, Steven Matz. Listen, there's a lot of good players that are available this deadline. There are a lot of guys that we probably haven't even considered that could be available. It depends what goes on over the next couple weeks here before we know who is actually going to be moved and who stays. I'd love to know who you guys think gets moved down in the comment section below. Remember to subscribe to the channel for all your MLB trade deadline and draft content coming at you over the next few weeks. Follow me on all my social media. GiraffeNeckMarc links are in the description, and that's where I'll wrap it up. You guys know the drill from here on out. YouTube recommends you watch this video. This is my most recent upload, so click through those if you have not yet seen them. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate you, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Bye!